Football is, as hotly debated last week, officially back as the Vikings have played a preseason game. Correction, the Vikings have won a preseason game, ladies and gentlemen, against the Houston Texans. My daughter is also hosting her own little podcast from the Pack and Play currently, so I think that's her polite way of telling me that 20 seconds is too long for an intro. Give the mic to Will already. So, Will, I'm joined as always, Will Goodwin, at Will Badloos on X.com. How are you doing? Did you watch any preseason games other than the Minnesota Vikings?
I absolutely did not watch any other preseason games other than the Vikings. There was a minute where I thought about it, and then I realized that it would have been a waste of time. And I can care about Shadur Sanders' production come the regular season, and it's just I didn't waste time on it this week, Jordan. Um, you know, it is what it is. Preseason football is almost football, as Aaron Rodgers says. It's not real football. I actually agree with him on that one. So, but the good news is the Vikings just can't lose a preseason game anymore. They used to never be able to win them. Kevin O'Connell was like 0 for his first 6, and now he's 4-0 in his last 4. So, preseason GOAT all of the sudden, and
100%.
we think we might have our quarterback. So, that's cool.
Yeah. I do want to point out, I can't remember what the game was. I think I put the Browns game on at my in-laws Friday night because like were done watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and nothing was on, and my mother-in-law and my wife went somewhere like upstairs or something. So I was just sitting there with the remote and I was like, does anybody have a preference? No. We watched the overtime of like the NASCAR truck series and then I was like, well, preseason Browns game, and my stepfather-in-law kind of like as he saw football was on, he went, pretty sure the Redskins are on. And I was like, well, there's a couple things wrong with that. Number one, I don't know if they are, and number two, that's not their name. But like, so found them, put them on the TV, and watched them get eviscerated by New England, which was fun. But I'm interested. I kind of want you to kick things off. You said the Vikings have a QB. Let's get into the JJ McCarthy takeaway, okay? It was obviously he played one whole drive. It was electric. We all, pooped our pants from sheer anticipation. What were your thoughts on that drive? JJ McCarthy, I think, threw 7 passes. So what did you glean, I don't know what it is, from the 7 throws JJ made on Saturday?
Basically just that he's going to be fine. And yes, I am wearing my hat backwards today in honor of JJ McCarthy, even though I know Colin Cowherd does not like quarterbacks who wear their hats backwards. He just immediately thinks that they're scrubs. So I'm doing it to spite him and to support my quarterback. Yeah, I think JJ looked fine. I think, as Kevin O'Connell said after the fact, it was a clean operation. And I agreed with that. There were no penalties. There were no sacks. Donovan Jackson had a little pressure right over his face on the Jordan Addison explosive play, actually, but just enough. Something that Vikings coaches and reporters have been saying a lot, that Donovan Jackson will, even if he gets beat on a rep in practice, he'll still be able to recover and not let it turn into a hugely negative play. And you could tell on that pressure, he got bowled over, but he held up just enough to give JJ a second to slide left, make that completion to Addison. He had a couple missed throws, one screen pass gone awry, the in-breaking route, I think it was a dig over the middle on that 3rd down to Lucky Jackson that he threw it a little too high. Yeah, he had some plays that he missed. He was not flawless. But there's nothing from that series, really that's all it was, that leaves me too concerned. I think he's ready to play NFL football. I think he's not only got the athleticism, I think he's also smart enough. I think he's going to be just fine. And like I said earlier, like last week when I was talking about this, what I wanted to see was a smooth operation. I think that's what we saw. So no concerns over here. Nothing that got me like, oh my gosh, freaking out, excited going to bed. It's not like I was just losing my mind over anything that he did, but it's fine. It's preseason, and at least he wasn't 1 for 5 for 7 yards like Jordan Love.
Dunked on. I think it's interesting. This is my takeaway. I think young JJ McCarthy, who is known for his steady hands, keen mind, meditate before the game, all that. I think he had the yips a little bit. I think there was a little bit of, okay, live bullets, as preseason live bullets, whatever you want to call those. Coming off of a leg injury, a knee injury, I looked really good in this spot last year. I think there was a little bit of pressure on it. I mean, I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of pressure on it. I think every Vikings fan that follows the team more than, just like I watch them 2-3 times a year type. I think everybody was watching it. I mean, I went over to my dad's to watch it with my dad and my brother because it was like, okay, one, it's a Saturday, we're already over there swimming and stuff, but two, this is his team now. Like there is no Kevin O'Connell's not saying like we're gonna start Sam Howell and we'll bring JJ along when he's ready. Like there was no question about JJ being the guy this year. There was no question about whether or not he was going to stout in Chicago if healthy and available. So I think there was definitely some pressure, and I think that showed. I think he was a little bit he was a little outside with that ball that Addison had to dive and grab. He was a little behind Addison. His ball placement wasn't great. He obviously missed that throw to Lucky Jackson up the seam or whatever, but I think that is all like that disagrees with the tape that he put on at Michigan, which I get is college versus NFL, but like ball placement translates pretty well. It's not like Bo Nix throwing a million screens and setting records for completion percentage. He doesn't have that great of ball placement. He just threw a lot of underneath stuff in college, and I'm not trying to just knock Bo Nix for the heck of it, but he can catch strays as he will. I think that JJ's ball placement was off, which I wouldn't expect to be a thing long term. I think he's going to get that under control and be fine soon. So we'll see how that goes. Were you impressed with anybody? We don't have to get off the JJ McCarthy, conversation, but 7 throws is 7 throws. There's not a lot you can take from it. Let's start with this. I was disappointed / surprised that he only played 1 drive. I did think he was going to get 2 series at least. Like he would play the first quarter, basically. He'd get 2 drives, and maybe if that second drive goes into the second, then you kind of you let him finish what he had begun already. But no, they Sam Howell was in there like immediately. Were you disappointed by that? Did you expect that? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. Sigh of relief in the sense of, okay, no more chances for him to get injured. There's just this like cloud hanging over my head of like, this is where JJ McCarthy gets injured because this is what happened last year. But yeah, I was disappointed. I wanted to see him get another run at it, and I wanted to see if he could go score a touchdown the next time.
That might be his last preseason appearance of all time, by the way. Like I'm not trying to be funny, but like it might be.
Yeah. And truthfully, I think we hope that it is. Like if he never plays in the preseason again, that either means he quit the league or he's just so clearly the starter that he doesn't need to play in the preseason anymore. Yeah. I mean, Kirk Cousins never played in the preseason, did he? I mean, with Kevin O'Connell, I
think he did the first year. I think he led a couple drives every now and then. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Joe Burrow is playing, 2-3 series right now because of how bad they traditionally stout. So like, I'm not saying, good quarterbacks don't play in the preseason, but there's a chance that, he just doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I was disappointed, but also I was grateful to see, a few drives from Sam Howell. And I mean, to be honest, he looked a lot better than I was thinking, just because everything we've been hearing from camp was, Sam Howell does not look the part. And do the Vikings need to go get a backup quarterback? And I don't think they do. I think we're fine. Yes, you would love to have, somebody who's starter quality be your backup. But Sam Howell started a full season in the NFL, and no, he wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible either. And he's a guy that they clearly believed in. They traded for him. They didn't just pick him up off the street, and he looked like he knew what he was doing out there. No big mistakes, no silly penalties, none of that. Like he was like 11 for 13 and scored a touchdown on one of his drives, had a field goal on another. I mean, he looked like he knew what he was doing. Um, so that was good for me to see. I think that kind of calmed some of my nerves on the backup quarterback front.
Yeah, I think that Sam Howell looked good in the game, but this is where we get into that like Ty Chandler-esque conversation of looking good in a game but sucking during camp. Yeah. It's kind of like the opposite. Like, oh, it's not the opposite. It's the same as like the Ty Chandler, where it's like this guy dominates preseason games but looks like crap trying to pick up a block, in 11 on 11s on Tuesdays. Like, I don't know if he's cut out for this. I have a hot take. Don't let Brett Rippon ever step foot on the field again. While we're in the QB room, we know what Brett Rippon is. He's a coach someday, probably. I want to see Max Hosmer go out there and let it just cackle on a defense, and that's what he did. He went out there, he threw 2 touchdown passes, and one of them got overturned, so he came right back out. Everybody celebrated. Everyone was like, "Oh, good job, Max." And then the refs were like, "No, not a touchdown." And Max went out there and he said, "Bet I'll do it again," and threw another touchdown pass. Like, I get he's against the third or he's against UPS drivers, but he threw that touchdown to a UPS driver, I'm pretty sure. So like that's fine. Like I was really impressed with Max. I thought he looked good, and he was the only Vikings QB with a touchdown on the day, which I think is notable. Although Sam Howell had much better completion percentage and yardage. So take with that what you will. Do you think there's any shot Max Brosmer ends up not on the practice squad?
Well, what's that whole like third quarterback rule? Isn't it like you can have your third quarterback not be on the roster?
You can elevate on game day a QB, like you can dress him from the practice squad to be the emergency QB, but you can't keep him like he's going to have to be cut and then put on the practice squad and then elevated to that status.
And he doesn't take up a roster spot, right? That's the benefit of that.
Yeah.
The Vikings will probably have 3 quarterbacks total. They'll probably have McCarthy, Howell, and one of the other 2 guys on the practice squad. They seem to really like Brett Rippon. Like, they're always talking about how smart he is and how great he is in the room. And sometimes that's what you want from your third quarterback. You just want a brainy guy, a heady guy, a wise, voice in the other guy's ears. But I don't know, man. I think if Brosmer does this again and plays well again, I don't know. I think there's reason to believe you could see him on the practice squad, just because is he going to be giving, better looks from a scout team perspective than Brett Rippon would? Maybe. He sure looked like he knew how to play quarterback a lot better than Brett Rippon did on Saturday. You can also just tell hearing Hosmer talk, and his name is Brosmer, just so we're not confusing people. He's charismatic. He's confident. He is just fired up to be there, but he's also very smart in the way he talks as well. And I don't know. I think it's the cute story because he's the Minnesota graduate and, everybody loves the local kid. But I think truthfully, I'd be a little surprised if he made the practice squad just because they probably will keep Rippon around. Why have they kept him around this long? I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think in my Madden franchise that I will be running when Madden, I'm not paying $100 for the new Madden, so I won't be playing it until Thursday when it officially comes out. I didn't pay $100 to get early access. So when I won the Madden franchise, my QB room will be, JJ, Sam Howell, and Max Brosmer. With Butt Whipping, I mean, I guess he can go to the practice squad. That's fine. Like, whatever. I don't care. If he goes to the practice squad, that's cool. If the Rams decide they want to sign him or whoever, then that's cool too. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. But I don't want what I don't want to happen. I don't want the Jaron Hall thing to happen where everyone just assumes, oh, this QB loves it here and will gladly be a practice squad guy when there's a chance, you cut him and Seattle calls and says, hey, Max, why don't you come be, our backup and you actually have a path to maybe playing here versus that place. I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to just be assumed that there's no way the league will take notice of Max Brosmo. I can't imagine. I know that the only official tape of Max is in a preseason game. I cannot imagine that they do not know the hype that he's getting, because he is actually having a pretty solid camp for what he is. So I don't know. Heard a fun fact today. Max Brosmo, whatever, and Sam Howell are the same age.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. If it's not,
in the league for like 4 years.
I think he came out young, and Max, I think, stayed, a couple years
6
late.
years.
Yeah, so one of those COVID red shirt years or whatever. So that's kind of nuts. Let's keep on this side of the ball for just a minute, and we don't have to go in depth on everybody here. I think we have a running back 3 on the team. I think his name is Xavier Scott. And I was really impressed with him. Now, look, I've been impressed with running backs in the past in the preseason, and they've done nothing. They've just, they're a practice squad guy, and then they're not on the team in 2 years. I think he legitimately, this is not my take, this is my brother's. He looks like Cam Scatterbo at Arizona State. Like, where it's just, he's bouncing off people, and he's just physical, and he's fighting for yards, and I don't mind him being a running back 3. If Aaron Jones needs, I'm not going to knock the guy. He's probably going to miss 2 to 5 games this season. That's just kind of his, MO. So I think Xavier Scott's a great guy to come in, and I believe he had 1 catch, so it wasn't like he was just lighting up the pass game or anything, but I was impressed with him. What were your thoughts on the running backs in general? If you want to talk about Scott, obviously go for it.
Yeah, and the thing that I think Pete Bursich mentioned on the call is that Scott actually had more receptions than carries in college. So he's totally used to catching the ball. And so having him as a viable screen option or whatever out of the backfield, totally plausible. Now it could just be like I'm tired of the current thing, let's look at the new shiny toy. You get, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of the Ty Chandler shtick, and he still looks like a fine runner. He's still fast. Like, Ty Chandler will always be fast. I had no issues with what Ty Chandler did on Saturday or anything like that, but I think what I really liked from Scott was when he runs, he's mean. And he also has a wiggle and a ability to jump cut and move laterally that you almost wouldn't expect from a guy that thick. Like, he is built like a tree trunk. And he's physical, but he's also real fast and slippery. And I just thought, like, the way he was able to get through the line was really impressive. I didn't particularly watch super close on his ability to pick up blitzes or anything like that. I don't know if you saw anything
I did not
in the pass game, but I know that's a clear issue with Ty Chandler. So that's a piece where if Xavier Scott were to supplant Ty Chandler as the third running back, I just think you got to see a market improvement in the pass blocking to say, yes, we're going to take a 29-year-old journeyman running back to be our third back, over a guy who's been in the system for 4 years. You have to be pretty confident in that, even if Ty Chandler has been up and down.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like I think it gets lost how. Hang on, did you say Xavier Scott was 29?
29.
He's 26.
Oh, I'm wrong on that. Okay.
I was gonna say I think he's only been in the league for 2 years. He was born in '99.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
The reason I said that was because I had a take locked and loaded, and then you said that, and I was like, oh no, that nullifies that. So I had to double check you real quick. Xavier Scott, to me, I think is more interesting than Ty Chandler because if he does do well in blocking, let's just call it what it is. I think he presents an interesting. Okay, this is Jordan Mason's long-term backfield, and long-term for running backs is like 2 to 3 years. Could Xavier Scott be a running mate to Mason, or do the Vikings go, draft their Jameer Gibbs, for lack of a better analogy, this year or next year, whenever? So, again, CJ Ham was running all over the Bengals in 2016, and I was like, that guy's pretty good. And then they made him a fullback, and here we are 10 years later. So I don't want to overhype what he did, and again, I know you're playing against different guys on defense. It's a preseason game, yada yada, whatever. He had 5.7 yards a carry. Ty Chandler averaged 1, and like I don't know if that means anything. Stats are weird in preseason games. I mean, by this logic, JJ McCarthy's barely better than Brett Whippen. But I don't know. I think that if he can do the things that we're talking about, I think Ty Chandler's on the way. I think Ty Chandler's on the way out. I'm going to make that clear right now. I don't think Ty Chandler's on this team this year. I think he's a cut candidate. I think he's the leading cut candidate if I had to put somebody in that position. Like one person besides the, filler guys for the 90-man, like one guy that was on the team last year that won't be this season, it's Ty Chandler, and I don't think it's close.
Yep. I think we're in agreement there.
Cool.
I would and the fact that the reporters continually ask the questions like, so where's Ty Chandler at? What else does he have to show? You can tell that everybody kind of smells it. And not that the coaching staff doesn't defend him or anything like that, but it kind of feels like the answers continue to be the exact same.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we really want to see some more consistency in the pass blocking game. It's like, okay, we know that. We've known this for 3 years.
But imagine how frustrating that has to be if you're Kevin O'Connell and you're Kwesi, right? And you guys are slugging some booskies during NBA season, and you're watching Ann Edwards do his thing, and you're just like, man, that draft class sucked. Wouldn't it be nice if Ty Chandler ended up being half ASS decent at football? And it's like, when he runs the ball, he's pretty solid, but man, he cannot block. And like, there's no way they're not telling him this. I know Kevin O'Connell kind of seems like Kevin O'Connell does not seem like he loves confrontation, but I guarantee you he has told Ty Chandler many times, man, come on. Like, he's going to press conferences saying like he missed a blitz pickup in camp. I told him that's your one that you get. Figure it out.
Yep.
You have to do that. That's your job, man. Like, I think fans feel like we're running our heads into a brick wall over and over again. I'm sure Kevin O'Connell feels that times 10. I don't know. Let's talk about the defense to round this out. Do we trade Dallas Turner for draft picks and just start Gabe Murphy? Because Gabe Murphy looked like Jared Allen out there, man. He was chasing guys down from behind, jumping out. I mean, he looked like all great pass rushers have this, where they have a sack where they look like a lion attacking a wildebeest or whatever it is. Like, just, full, it looks like a meme almost. And it's one of my favorite plays in football, the diving sack from the blind side. Gabe Murphy had one of those. He also had an assist, a half sack with Bo Richter as well. They combined for one where I watched it. I feel like Gabe Murphy did most of the work on that sack. Yeah, well, they counted it as a half sack. Gabe Murphy had himself a day, and it looks like this edge rushing. I'm trying to think. I'm going to give the mic to you and let you talk about the defense and Gabe Murphy and everything. I'm going to try and find the last time I felt this good about the Vikings. Just edge guys. The last time they had an edge room I felt was this deep. Okay? Your turn.
I think we tried to talk ourselves into this edge room being this deep, 2 years ago. 3 years ago when they had Danielle Hunter and Darius Smith and Patrick Jones and some of those guys. I think, that edge room was decent, but it was not nearly this deep. And obviously last year was great. Van Ginkel, Grenard, they were fantastic. Both made the Pro Bowl. That's crazy. Both edge rushers from the same team made the Pro Bowler. But we've talked ourselves into this, like, oh yeah. They got a great edge rushing group. Not like this. And yes, you obviously have the two guys that made the Pro Bowl last year. Dallas Turner, I didn't think he looked very good on Saturday. Kind of got pushed around on some running plays. That first unit, I say that in quotes, was bad defensively. I mean, Davis Mills and Braxton Berrios just marched down their throats for a easy touchdown drive. That was disappointing. But Dallas Turner didn't really make much of an impact. Really, he maybe had one nice play in the backfield, but I'm not losing sleep over him because similar to, what we've been talking about, how practice reps are more important than just a flash in the pan in a preseason game. One bad drive from Dallas Turner doesn't worry me because they've been talking about him with very high praise and expectation all summer. And if they really were worried about him, they would have given him another series or two. But they pulled him after the first series, and that was it. So between those two guys, and they call them their three starters, Turner, Ginkel, Grenard, and then you got Gabe Murphy. Yes, like we can say like, well, preseason. I don't know if you remember this, but T.Y. McGill, he was a nose tackle the Vikings had on their preseason roster.
He was the
a few
goat.
years ago. He was just electric. Massive nose tackle. I think he had like 2 sacks in one game, and I was like, losing my mind over this guy and, wanting the Vikings to keep him on the team. He was like the first player cut. It was over real fast. So preseason game performance only means so much. But Gabe Murphy is a UDFA that came highly regarded, really only fell off the table in the draft because of injury, had some bad injury luck over his life, and wasn't trusted to be drafted, yada, yada. He's a guy where we've kind of been waiting for this sort of thing. Like, it's in there. And so you see that. Bo Richter, Tyler Batty, these are guys that are, fringe, may or may not even make the roster, but they're loaded, man. I mean, they've got edge rushers coming out of their pores, and if Gabe Murphy, who did play some snaps last year, if I remember right, I could be wrong on that, but if he makes the team and plays this season, I'm not going to be worried about it. I think I would trust him in there. Who was that guy from Army that we had that did not
Andre
make the team
Cowder
that
the
we got
Thou.
really... Yeah, what happened to him?
I think he wasn't good. Oh, isn't good. I don't even know if he's still. Yeah.
Yes.
While you look up the Andre Cowder thing, I want to point out I looked up 2 years that came to mind when I thought of the Vikings and edge rushers, and it was 2017 for obvious reasons, and 2011 because that was like the Jared Allen year, and I knew Jared Allen had some pretty solid running mates. The 2017, I think, is the closest that I would say I felt this good about the depth at edge rusher. It was Everson and Daniil with B-Rob as like the swing guy, which is a pretty good unit. We also had Stephen Weatherly on the edge, which was like, again, we're not talking about, having like 5 Hall of Famers there, but that's a pretty solid pass rush. 2011, I looked at the depth chart for 2011, or the final season stats and stuff. Couple just highlights. Christian Ponder led the team with 1,800 passing yards. We've come a long way. AP didn't even go for 1,000. He got injured. We didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. Chad Greenway had a $154 tackles. Just nuts. Also, Jim Kleinsaucer's on here as Jimmy Kleinsaucer. But that edge room only really went 3 deep that I can see because it was Jared Allen breaking the sack record, or probably should have. B-Rob was there, and then we did have young Everson Griffin on that team as well. But after that, it's like, now granted, I'm just looking at sack totals. Kevin Williams was there. He's an inside guy, one of the all-time greats, for the Vikings. But I don't know, man. Like it really does feel like at least I think it feels foul deep at that position, which means there's going to be a lot of rotation. Everyone's going to have fresh legs, and golly, that gets me excited, man. Like I'm really excited about this defense. I don't care what the Texans, did against the stout. I like how you phrased it. Like the first team in quotations. Do you take anything away from Calef? I can't pronounce his name. The guy who had 2 picks. Do you take anything away from that before we get into?
No. Right place, right time.
Yeah.
I mean, he caught the ball, which is great. I mean, oftentimes DBs drop the ball. Do I take much from Graham Mertz throwing 3 YOLO balls that get in? No. I mean, Graham Mertz he wasn't good in college. He's not good now. And yes, Minnesotans have seen plenty of Graham Mertz when he played for the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yeah.
He's never been great. This isn't something that I am taking too much stock in. It's great. I mean, he made some plays. Those are the things your coaches, you get their attention. But
getting a YOLO ball
Khalif Hussein or whatever, and Ambry Thomas, those are 2 guys that they're fringe roster. They're practice squad guys.
But they can tell they can tell all of their clients when they're driving for UPS that they picked off Graham Mertz in week 1 of the 2025 NFL preseason. All right, that's electric. What happened to Andre Carter before?
Andre Carter is now with the Las Vegas Raiders.
I wish him
well. Hope he stays in the NFL.
So do I.
Did you take much from the cornerbacks' collective performance? Any thoughts on what the DBs didn't do? And I'm more talking about top of the roster guys, Okudah, Blackman, those guys that we want to see play.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't. It's difficult to judge a DB performance from the couch, and I didn't go back and watch the all 22 of this. I'm not that guy. I'm just, that's just not me. Yeah. So it's difficult looking at looking at the box score, just the vibe of the game. I did feel when the Texans had their first drive, I was hoping to see a little bit more sticky coverage. I get they're playing more basic things. They're not really trying to confuse anybody, but I was hoping to see a little bit more, man-to-man coverages, stuff like that. Not necessarily man-to-man, but just tighter windows. And it felt like guys were getting open a little bit more. It kind of is what it is. I don't know. I don't think the secondary will be this team's downfall. And I say that because I think the pass rush will be will be so good that the secondary will just have to be okay, and the team overall will be fine. Now, again, difficult to tell. I don't remember seeing Mekhi Blackman crashing down on the run game or anything. So the fact that he had 5 total tackles and led the team in that stat isn't good. And I'm not just trying to slander Mekhi Blackman, but you typically don't want your DB to lead in tackles. That means he gave up throws and then made the make-up tackle. So that's not great. Now, again, I might be just completely off base there. Somebody comment and tell me that I'm a doofus and he actually blew up 5 screens and that's why he had so many tackles and he looked amazing. I didn't notice that myself. I don't know, man. It was whatever. Like I said, they're playing base cover 2 man and base cover 3 and palms. They're not doing anything exotic at all. They're not trying to confuse anybody.
Yeah, and I think the Mekhi Blackman thing, again, I didn't watch number 5 so closely that I knew where he was every play. But from what I can recollect, the tackles were being made so often by the secondary because the running defense just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, there was just a lot of 4, 5, 6 yard runs that got through, and then a safety or a corner had to make a tackle. So, whatever. Not too much gleaned from that. I think I agree. I would have wished the coverage was a little stickier. There were a couple times where you could tell some guys maybe got turned around a little bit. Braxton Berrios was looked like he was playing for his life out there. He was just he was just dominating. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like he had like 10 catches. So, anyways, I thought the secondary could have done better, but again, I don't think coaching of all the positions, I don't think the coaches are evaluating the DBs on the game as much as they are the practice, because this is
Yeah.
not the defense they're going to run. This is not the type of coverage they're going to be asked to run. Like it is what it is, and it's more how you fight, it's how you tackle, it's how you compete when the ball's in the air. Those are the things they're gonna worry more about.
Yeah.
Um, at least I would imagine. I mean, I've never been an NFL coach, but that's what I would imagine.
Couple.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say a couple of things before we get moving. One, Braxton Berrios had 3 catches, but he also
Why
returned.
does it seem like he had so many?
I think it's because he returned the punts, so like it
Okay.
felt like he just had the ball in his hands a lot more. He also scored a touchdown, which is a big deal. But and also, I don't know why I've always hated Braxton Berrios. I feel like he like talked smack to somebody when he was with the Jets, and it like to a Viking, and it just yeah, you bumped a bridge here, pal. Like I don't know how to segue into this. A couple of things of note before we talk about, I guess, our final thoughts being what we want to see from the joint practices with New England. Because newsflash, folks, the preseason games don't matter from this point on in terms of like JJ McCarthy and most stouting players. It's all going to be these joint practices and scrimmages that they run and stuff, and then the actual games will be more like, look, I'm excited to watch Max Brosmer sling it, but I don't know that that's going to affect whether or not he makes the team or whatever. A couple of things. Number one, Jordan Addison officially suspended. I think we've talked enough about this. If you have any takes, I'll obviously let you get to them, but just kind of expected. And then 2, Rondale Moore. I don't know if they've announced it. He's done, right? I mean, like it was on the opposite leg than the one he injured last season, and I know we always joke like, oh, I forgot he was even on the team. Like, until you said his name, I forgot he was even on the team. That really sucks. Just for him as like a dude. I think I just burped. Excuse me. That really sucks for him as a dude to have to go through, like he grinds his way back from a leg injury and has a place where he's gonna thrive, maybe not thrive, but he's at least gonna get some look as a special teamo, maybe work his way in as a gadget guy on offense, and it looks like his season's done. So back-to-back years of no Rondale Moore. You have to wonder what kind of long-term effects this has and stuff, but I'll let you discuss those 2 things, and then I'll give my final thoughts and then that kind of stuff.
Really tough. I mean, they'll figure it out with the punt return game. The Vikings' perspective, I think you would have liked to have Rondale Moore be the punt returner for the season. Got experience doing it. He's been good at it in his career. He's notoriously wiggly and just gives people fits. And yeah, you tear an ACL and maybe that wiggle goes down a little bit. But I mean, man, I saw it right away too, watching. He catches that punt, sprints toward the sideline, and even when he was getting dragged to the ground, you could even just see like back get bent backwards, and he was laying on the ground immediately. And so no official announcement. I think that he had an MRI on Sunday. But yeah, that just really sucks. And he's still a young guy, but at a certain point, if this is another ACL, I mean, going to be hard to come back from when you're a small guy and your game relies on speed and quickness. That's just going to be tough.
He's 25.
On the Jordan Addison, that's it, man. I mean,
isn't that crazy?
Hopefully he's young enough to where he can still make a comeback and still have a career. And he's still going to be, have enough youth in him to overcome this, but that's tough, man. Yeah, the Jordan Addison thing, we don't need to beat a dead horse. We knew this was probably coming. 3-game suspension. He'll miss the first 3 games of the regular season. He will be able to come back and practice, I think, leading into weeks 2 and 3. Great. All that's fine. I think, we expected the suspension, so I don't think anybody's shocked about it. I think the one thing that I remembered when Kevin O'Connell was talking is that they basically played 3 games without him to start last season too. He played the first half against the Giants and then got injured his ankle, and then he just missed weeks 2 and 3. The Vikings started 3-0 last year. So I think they've proven over the last 2 years that short stints without one superstar wide receiver does not kill you. I mean, Justin Jefferson was out for that stretch in 2023, that weird lost season with all the injuries. The Vikings went like 5-0 without him. So I think, losing a receiver for a short time is not the end of the world. Yes, it will require guys like Jalen Naylor and potentially now Ty Felton to really step up. Rondale Moore's out for the year, which it kind of seems like at this point. He for sure probably won't play week 1. So you're going to be looking at Naylor, Felton, maybe even someone like Lucky Jackson, who had a nice game on Saturday.
Yeah.
That just need to step up and be able to play meaningful snaps in the first 3 games of the season. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, again, not shocked. Go ahead.
I wonder if with Rondale getting, likely done for the season, I don't want to speculate, but when the head coach comes over and is like, it looks brutal or whatever he said, like, I think they know it's at best season ending, but he will play for somebody next year. At worst, it's like, oh, it's his other ACL or whatever, and, who knows? Like, I wonder if they bring in, like, a Gabe Davis, like an Amari Cooper, maybe. I don't know. One of these guys that's still out there on the street that has, like, some household name to him. Oh, if they are just going to roll with what they have with, JJ, JA, and Speedy, JN, I guess. Like, I wonder if they just kind of let that ride and let those 3 guys, because I don't think you make a signing of like a Gabe Davis just because your wide receiver 3 or your wide receiver 2 is going to miss 3 games. But with Rondale being out as well, I wonder if it's just like, hey, let's scoop this guy up before, something bad I don't want to say something bad, but you know what I mean. Let's add some depth, so that way if the wide receiver 5 does have to become the wide receiver 3, God forbid, we do not have a completely inept passing game. And I think a big thing too that is easy to forget about, and then I'll get into my final thoughts and what I want to see from this joint practice. We have Hawkinson, like a fully healthy Hawkinson, on this team, and I think that's huge, right? So I think that's important to remember.
Very important.
Yeah, and so it's not like JJ McCarthy will be deprived of weapons, in his first year. He will be the first 3 games even. He will be fine. Talking about what I want to see out of these joint practices, and I'll be, like I said, not brief, but I think it's pretty straightforward. I want this team to I want them to be running the ball well. I know that's difficult in a training camp environment, whatever. I want them to be physical and nasty. I want to hear that Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason are not necessarily gashing, but as close to that without saying gashing as they can get. And I want McCarthy to just be operating the offense well. I don't think he needs to blow anybody out of the water. I don't think, he doesn't need to have a 15 for 15 for 200 yards type day, but just kind of do what he did on Saturday, do what he's done all camp, which is, hey, I had a really good day today, looked solid. Hey, he had a not so great day today, but still kind of looked solid, just kind of ride that median and hopefully have some peaks and valleys. Also, I would like to see the Vikings defense just absolutely annihilate, not mentally annihilate, not physically annihilate Drake May. Just because he's a young QB, and it would be, it would be reassuring that the Vikings defense that has given JJ and this offense fits for, like a month now, it would be reassuring to hear that they're doing that to other QBs as well. And it's not just an us problem, it's an anybody that's going up against them problem. Especially with him being young and having a new offense and everything that, all the hurdles that he has to jump. So, and then in the preseason game, my one thing, I want Max Brosmer to go off. I want him to play the whole game. Let him play the whole game, Kevin. What do you have to lose? Do we need Sam Howell to go out there and start the game? No, just let Rippon take the first drive. The rest of the game, give me Max Brosmer, and I'll be glued to the TV. I want this guy to be good so bad. It would be so funny if like we draft a top 10 QB, he ends up sucking. Max Brosmer comes in, just lights the league on fire. What's more Vikings than that? Like just, oh, we think we got it figured out. No, you don't. Here's, Case Keenum 2.0. Like just, and obviously they're very different, but I don't know. I'm excited to watch Max Brosmer. He's slowly becoming my favorite Viking. If he makes the team, there's a good chance I buy a jersey. That's my final thoughts. Follow the show, at LTB Vikings. Follow this guy over on X at Will Badlose, and subscribe to the channel. We got one new subscriber this week, Will. We are growing slowly but surely. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will pass it off to Will for his final thoughts, and then we will go eat our dinners.
I don't have much more to say, other than doubling down. I want to hear hooting and hollering from the defense all the way from Egan. And yes, I live like 25 miles north of Egan. I want to hear the hooting and hollering after all the Drake May interceptions. I don't even know what Stephon Diggs is up to these days. I don't know if he's practicing. I don't know if he's still on the team. But I hope the Vikings make practice very uncomfortable for him for 2 days. I hope he has no fun. And, provided nobody gets injured, I hope he gets kicked out of practice. I mean, like, why not? For trying to start a fight. Like, that would just be kind of funny to hear.
He has such a bad practice, he goes home and deletes all of his social media posts.
On a serious note, yeah, I don't think there's anything else really considerable from. I think you nailed it. I think really the only thing that this is gonna sound like a joke, but I'm legitimately still interested in watching is the special teams. I want to see more. I love special teams in preseason because I think that probably tells you the most of anything. Ty Felton, he was a gunner on Saturday, and he forced a fumble on Saturday. That is not insignificant. I got so excited, Jordan. I was sitting on my couch. My Australian punter, Oscar Chapman, boots the banana ball, as they call it. The guy, Ty Felton, caused the fumble. It was everything that I had wanted to see from the entire preseason game in one kick. But yeah, I'm going to be still watching a lot of that. And I loved what I saw from Will Reichard. Special teams was overall really good, other than that weird opening kickoff muff thing that I don't even really know what happened. Ball kind of just bounced around and the Felton kind of fell on it, and that was the end of the opening kick. But yeah, I'm going to keep watching that, especially now with Rondale Moore probably done. Who's going to return punts? Is Silas Bolden going to just grab a stranglehold of the punt returner job and never let go? So that sort of thing I think is interesting to watch. But yeah, more real football. Thursday and Wednesday are very important for the maturation of the quarterback and the continued improvement of the team. Players will often say that joint practices are way closer to the real thing than a preseason game, and this way, you can play, lower chance of getting injured, all that. I don't know when Jefferson will be back. I don't really expect him to practice this week, but we haven't heard anything definitive either way. Not that we need to see anything from him, but I think
it'd be nice.
That's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, just helps you get a fuller picture of everything when you're going up against another defense. So that's all we got. We will be back, I think, later next week. We'll recap this one. We will, we'll recap this one, and then we'll break down in very, very large air quotes the third preseason game in Tennessee. That one will mean almost nothing unless you really care about who's going to make the back end of the roster, but chances are those guys that are playing that week are going to get cut anyways. So we will talk to you next week, though. This was fun. Thanks for listening the whole way through. Skol, y'all.